Hi, friends. Welcome to Getting Your Real Estate Life Together. And
I am Renee with the Abundology podcast.
yay. And I'm Tracey Hicks. I'm with All Things Real Estate. And today, Renee, my good friend, and I decided to do a dual podcast. I think we're going to start a new trend, by the way, because I don't know if anybody's ever done this before.
I haven't seen one out there, but it's perfect for us talking about collaboration.
Yes, I know. Yeah. I'm so excited. So we're going to talk about collabs, and we're going to talk about marketing, and we're going to talk about collabs and probably more marketing.
Sounds like perfect. And Tracey, we have known each other for, oh my gosh, over a decade. I had a 11-year-old Facebook message reminder a couple days ago with you in it.
Yep.
And we have done a lot of collaborating over the years.
We have.
I was in mortgage and you were in real estate, and there's lots of opportunity there.
Totally. Yep. Yeah. In business, I call you for business advice. And, when you kind of look at your peers or your sphere or whatever you want to call it, your friend group, your go-to, I think it's you and maybe one other person that I usually go to. So it helps because then you're not like going through it, less mucks it up, if that's a thing.
Less mucks it up. And what's nice is we know each other's history too. Yep. So, we don't have to explain like 7 years ago, this dude, exactly. We already know the story. Yeah.
Totally. So we had planned to do a podcast before Corona, and then it just kind of, you and I both had business stuff going on, and it kind of evolved into, okay, we got to get back to doing our podcast, and what do we want to talk about? And then you have a podcast, I have a podcast. So we were like, let's do them both at the same time, post them to the same, I'll post this to ours. You'll post this to yours, and we're collabing at the same time. So I have been in real estate for 16 years or so. I have a brokerage and I have a real estate store. And Renee has.
I was in real estate lending for 30 years. Oh my God, I'm so old. And I sold my company a couple years ago, and now I do business mentoring and abundance coaching.
Exactly. So it's the perfect collab for you and I. I don't know how much of a collab it is for you with me, but I know for me, collabing with you helped us through some business stuff and some marketing stuff. And, hopefully I get to help too, and like connecting you with people. And because we're all connectors anyway. So I guess that's my part, is the connections.
Yeah. Yeah. You're a good connector.
This is great because we're talking about collabs. So that's half the battle right there. But I don't know where we want to start with this because there's so much to talk about with collaborations. So
I agree. And I think it's important. Let's start with pointing out why they're important first off, because right now, as we know, everything is online.
Yep.
Everything. And from here on out, nobody's going to turn the on switch and we go back to the way that it was. Business from here on out is going to be the majority done online. Yep. And so part of expanding your reach to reach more people is collaborating.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's fun.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I've heard a lot with business and people that have small businesses and that have had to pivot and shift, and we've seen a lot of that, just like you said, naturally with what's going on. I think people are collabing and probably don't even know it. So maybe that's a good place for us to start. Is realtors, I know right now, are like trying to support as many small businesses as they can. Yep. Usually it's the restaurants that they frequent or coffee shops and things like that. So then they'll post it on their Facebook page. But what else could they do to continue that relationship and that partnership going forward? Or even now, like what else let's take a restaurant and a realtor. What kind of ideas would you have for them to collab? What could they do?
Well, I think email, as we know, is one of the best places to collaborate with people.
Yep.
Especially for realtors. For other of us, we can, kind of manage our cash flow more with our email. In the olden days, we just sent out email to like keep in touch, and I went on a vacation.
Yep.
But now I think we're realizing the importance of it and how you can manage cash flow with putting things on sale, doing gift certificates, that sort of stuff. But if you're in real estate or insurance or a lender, you can't really do that. You can't put stuff on sale.
Right.
But what you can do is you can send out an email with information about companies like coffee shops, restaurants, maybe companies, landscapers, pest control, house cleaners, something that's related to you promoting their products.
Yes.
So, and giving, coupons for those things or discounts for those things. It helps your clients. Yep. It helps the other small business. And then in return, it would be really nice if those small businesses did the same for you.
Yeah.
And mentioned you in their email or referred business to you.
Yep. And I think with that, I'm seeing some realtors do, Lana Rodriguez is one of my favorite people. She's a realtor in Colorado. She loves video. And she started a podcast, and it's literally going out into the community and talking to local restaurants and coffee shops and things like that. So, and she's still doing it. She's doing it from her home office or whatever, but she's heightening what that means and what else you can do. So I think too, you hit the nail on the head with actually, sharing that information, but also reciprocating. It needs to be a win-win. And we get people all the time that want to collab with us at All Things Real Estate. And we have to have a really clear reason why we're collabing, because if it doesn't make sense for our business, then we don't have the time to do it. You don't want to upset people and be like, no, it's not. But we'll try to shift it and make it work for the both of us, whether that means we're giving a gift certificate away or something like that. And realtors they could give away a gift certificate to the coffee shop, things like that.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And I think in email too, you talk about email, we get a lot of emails, but subject lines and how if you are giving away a gift card, putting that in there and making them cute and fun. Well, everything in our life is cute and fun. So it's kind of is a given that I have to say that, or I do just naturally. But I think you really, again, being intentional about what you're going to put in the email and tell the story. Don't just say I have a gift certificate for this coffee shop, but talk about the owner and the staff and
why you love them. And they're in the neighborhood that you sell a lot of real estate in and all that.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think it starts more when we first think about it. We're like, oh, I'll team up with my friend and I'll offer this and they'll offer that. And it's much deeper than that. Yeah. You have to make sure, one, that you even like these people,
right. Exactly.
And that they do business in a similar way. If you're recommending or giving a gift certificate to a business that doesn't maybe have good customer service, that can reflect poorly on you too.
Yes. Good point. Yeah. And again, don't just go in and ask the barista, can I give away, a gift certificate to your, talk to the manager or the owner, and hopefully you're doing collabs with people you already, know, or, that you like or whatever, but, make sure that, again, it's a win-win and that they're reciprocating. You want them to also put, whether it be they're going to put you on their social media and talk about what you're doing. It's a contest or whatever. Make sure that you're getting something out of it as well. Because I think realtors and business owners all too often are like, they're givers and they want to see the other person succeed. But you got to think about yourself too and your business and how it's going to benefit you. And, what's the intention behind it?
Yeah. What's the intention behind it? And not just like one thing. I could see how you could do like, I'll send out a coupon for a free coffee, but this is a long-term relationship.
Yes.
So sitting down with a plan, like how often are we going to mention each other on social media? How often are we going to send out emails? What else are we going to do? Are we going to do food drives together? So it's not just a one-off.
Right.
It can be, but if you really want to dig into this and make it beneficial for both of you, the more the better.
Yeah. And when you say that, what comes to mind is like, try the first one and put your all and your effort into it, see what happens. And if you get one client out of it or a little bit of a result, then make a 6-month plan, and be like, okay, next month we're going to give away a baked banana bread from the coffee shop. And then the next month we're going to do, I mean, whatever it might be, but like space it out and keep going. Cause I think that's what we tend to do is like, oh, something worked. That was great. And then you're done. If it worked, like keep going, keep doing it.
Yes. And sometimes, okay, you get a little result with the first one, but a lot of times it's the third or fourth or fifth time that you put it out there is when you get the biggest result.
Yeah. And we all know it takes how many times?
Yeah. 10 times or whatever it is. Yeah. 100 times.
If it's on Facebook ad, it's 100 times. It's like, right. And then, another thing too, with like the coffee shops, maybe it's not just email, there's, realtors do, well, I don't know if they're going to do this anymore, but door knocking is a thing, or pop buys or drop buys. Do something with the coffee shop in that neighborhood for a drop off or a drop by. Maybe you're just, leaving at the door and not knocking and face-to-face talking right now, but doing something a little bit more, and then maybe asking them to do the same.
Yes.
Like split up the area and be like, okay, I'll take the north side of the block. You guys take the, and help with the distribution and the marketing and, putting just the collab is so much more than just the collab.
It is so much more than just the collab. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be, we're talking about realtors and people in their area, their community, but it doesn't have to be related businesses like at all. No. Like you and I really don't have related businesses. Yeah. But we both love marketing and we both have podcasts. So you can look for similarities in other things. Like maybe you both love to kayak. You and 3 other business owners love to go out and kayak. That could be enough right there.
Right.
To start a collab with them and work with them.
Yeah. And it's all about the connection, and you never know what it is that you're doing. You don't know who that's going to connect with.
Yep.
And in any business, it's when you have that relationship and those connections, then people talk, they're going to talk about your business, and they're going to talk about your, I keep saying coffee shop. I got to think of something else that.
Well, we have so many of them here.
Exactly. But another cool thing is one of the podcasts, though, I think it was the last podcast that we did. So I tell realtors they should do a podcast, and they're like, why would I do a podcast? I don't want to talk. I don't need to talk to other realtors. I'm like, no, you need to do a podcast talking to your people. And you need to be the go-to for real estate. And that can be the same in any business. If you're the local, not coffee shop, seamstress.
Yeah.
Be the go-to person, the expert in that area, in that field, and collab with, okay, I'll take the sewing thing, for instance. If you own a fabric shop in the area, there's so much more that goes into your business. Like, the actual sewing machines and the grommet things, or what, I'm not a sewer and I'm just throwing stuff out there, but like, bringing those people in and talking about that stuff. I love behind the scenes stuff in any genre. So if I get to learn about what makes somebody's business tick, I'm going to come away with something from that. And if my business is real estate, but I'm also a sewer, or I want to learn how to sew, and I start listening to that, that's just so many people involved there, then you have them come on and talk about their business and what, especially as a realtor, like anything goes, because you're going to connect with somebody, with someone.
With something. Yes. Yes. It's so true.
Yes. Yes. And in your genre, with you talk about abundance and business, and it's the same for you and all your customers, and anything that you might talk about is going to resonate with someone.
Yeah.
And we don't need all of everybody. We don't need everyone. You just need some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I also really like the idea of creating like a marketing block. Like there is maybe 4 of you, and they don't have to be related businesses. The one that I can think of is like if you were, let's just say a massage therapist.
Yep.
And maybe commissioning a blog article that talks about like relaxation right now, and you're highlighting a massage therapist, a meditation practitioner, maybe a candle person, and somebody that does like bath salts or bubble baths, that you could incorporate, and then have somebody write an article about that. So when you do something like that and you all four are sharing that information, your reach just, is out of this world. It's not your quadruple right there.
Yep. Because the massage people are going to be interested in what the candle people are saying and vice versa. And like you said, it doesn't have to be all like-minded businesses. And because something sits with someone, I guess I just said that in a way, but I tell realtors all the time in their marketing, a lot of times, and I think business owners in any business do this too. They try to take their personal out of it, because I think for so long we've been told, when I was on your podcast, I think we talked about this.
I think we did.
But it's so true that, for so long we were told that business is business and personal, keep your personal life at home. But the bottom line is that we are who we are, and we bring our, especially with small business owners, which is who we mostly work with. So your business is you.
Yep.
It is personal.
Yep.
It just is. So you got to put that stuff in like your profile page. If you're a, soccer mom this year, or you just learned how to knit or whatever, put that in your profile, because people want to know who you are as a person. And when it's on social media, you only have less than, we talked about 10 times, you have less than 4 seconds to get someone's attention. But if something in your profile resonates with them, it's that connection. And it's the same as collab.
That's what marketing is making that connection with somebody.
Yep.
I know after doing mortgages for a decade, I said, I'm never going to do another talk about mortgages. I'd rather shoot myself in the head. So I would go out and I would do talks on positive energy or company culture. Yes. And I got more clients from talking about a company culture than I would if I was talking about a first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
So, to me, you have to be energized and connect with somebody at that level where they are.
Yeah. Yeah. And just, with what's going on right now, I think that people collabing with other businesses to talk, to open up that communication or that conversation about what businesses are going through right now, what they did to pivot. I'm hearing like one of our local distilleries started making hand sanitizer and was selling it. I just thought that was genius. Like, I love hearing stuff about that. And that company is still in my head. Like, I didn't go buy,
Mine too. Yes.
Yeah. I'm not going to go buy hand sanitizer right now, but I'm going to remember that company, and I'm going to do something eventually when I can get out of my house at some point. I'm going to go and support, but I think that kind of stuff is, again, people really love to hear the stories about what's happening. And so when you collab with someone, you get to share each other's stories.
Yeah. And it makes it so much more interesting. One of the things, going back to bringing you into what you're doing, I always think of Kimberly Allen, and she does the vision boards.
Yes.
And I know that she has picked up business because she does these wonderful vision boarding things. Yep. And that's her thing. And she loves to do it, and she gets paid to do it at work, Yep. But at the same time, she's attracting then clients that are on her same vibe, that like that kind of stuff anyway.
Right.
So one, you're getting clients, but two, you're getting clients you like.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of collabs, I did anything could be a collab. I was a guest on a team meeting this morning, and I think there were about 8 or 9 agents. And I consider that a collab because I got to talk about my business and I got to learn about them. And they're in DC. So now I have a DC, I'm sure I know a lot of people in DC customer wise, but now I have a relationship and a connection to this team. And it was so funny because, it was me giving all my million ideas and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, now go do it. And one of the agents talked about, it was kind of about branding and all that good stuff. And one of the agents said that she loves quotes and she's trying to incorporate quotes into her business. And I just love that idea. And so much so that we actually do quote. We have a Sunday night, our good night quotes. And so I was telling her about that, but I said that, that all started because I was listening to a Jay-Z interview and he said something and I was like, that just hit home for me. And so I took that quote and that was one of our quotes. And one of the gals in the meeting was like, okay, you had me at Jay-Z, like that connected with her.
Yes.
And I was just telling my story. And, things like that are really important when you're just kind of thinking about the whole picture of, who you want to collab with and why, and what that connection is. It doesn't have to be like-minded businesses, like you said, but there's got to be some sort of connection there. And once you figure that out, which you probably had already figured out before, but like me, I made a connection with her and we can collab on something, you never know. So
yeah. Well, you're good at doing things. You're good at collabs, but you're really good at, and I love this meeting the realtor thing that you do.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that again. What's it called, Tracey?
Well, basically we do a couple different things and we've kind of been spinning it because our marketing is just changing all the time, but we do a real world marketing Q&A with realtors.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we decided, our podcast is Getting Your Real Estate Life Together. And then I was like, our blog and our real world marketing where we ask realtors, those can all be Getting Your Real Estate Life Together too. So we took the name of the podcast and then incorporated it because it's all giving information, right? And it's all about getting your real estate life together. I mean, all this stuff is even, obviously you and I are talking about it, and it's whether somebody's talking about business or real estate, it still applies to your business. So yeah, it's a way for us to connect with our customers. So we do a Q&A and then we make a cute little image with their picture in it. And then they answer the questions. But what's more fun, we did something new. We haven't even launched this yet, but you know how Vogue does is it 32 questions or 82 questions or something? So we're going to do the same thing, but we're only doing 16 questions. And we're going to do it with realtors, and it'll be some questions about real estate, but also, some questions about what's your favorite color or what book are you reading right now or whatever. So, we're going to do that and we'll collab with them. And our hope is that they will, I think we're going to do it on IGTV. This is the part we're trying to figure out is the deliverable of it, which is another important part of the collab.
Yeah.
You have to figure out what's going to be your delivery because there's so many avenues, but we're going to do it on Instagram, and then we'll do it where we can bring them in on a live so that it's a split screen, and then I'll be able to ask the questions and then they'll be answering, and then you can save that into your IGTV, and then that's where it's going to live.
I love it.
So that took us a long time to figure that out. We're like, how, where, what? But then once it came together, we were like, oh, because you can have episodes now on IGTV.
Nice.
So it's kind of cool. So we could do Getting Your Real Estate Life Together, 16 questions or whatever, and then do other stuff.
Yeah. Well, I would say mostly right now I'm collaborating on podcasts.
Yep.
After all of those years in the mortgage industry and all that networking, I never want to network again. I realized the importance of meeting people, and so for me, it's really easy. I'm going to do a podcast. I did a talk for a group this weekend. I put out there, I'm looking for people to be on my podcast. And I got 13 people that reached out to me that now I'm in conversation with. A couple of them aren't that exciting, but they're super cool people.
Yeah.
And then when we could meet people, I always had them come to where I was, and we'd have coffee and a conversation and got to know them a little bit better. Yep. And then they're sharing the podcast. I'm sharing the podcast.
Yep.
So
yeah,
that to me is a really easy way to meet people and collaborate without any much effort at all.
Right. Yeah. And I think too, also collaborating with people in your industry, again, a long time ago, it was oh, everybody's a competitor.
Yeah.
But talking to other realtors, I think is super awesome. There's a lot more of that happening now than there ever was, but also too, coffee shops, talking to other coffee shops and not being like, you don't have to give away your coffee secret recipe or anything, but you guys are probably going through some of the same struggles, and so by having that relationship, and something could come out of it, one coffee place could have something that the other doesn't, and then they can swap, provide, whether it's baking or whatever. So I think that there's just so many different ways to collab that, and again, people are probably already doing it and just weren't thinking of it that like hyper focused.
Yes.
But just think about if you were to do that, what could come out of it?
And if you were to do it intentionally, and sit down and plan it out. I think a lot of times it's just on the fly. Oh yeah, I'll see you Tuesday for an hour and we'll do this thing and then we'll be done. And you never see the person again.
Yep.
I don't know how effective that will be in the long run. I think
it's exhausting.
Yeah, and exhausting. I think sitting down, getting a plan, focusing on what you want to focus on and what they want to focus on, and then seeing where those meet and how you can share both things.
Yes.
Long term.
Yes. And here's another, as you were saying that, I had a light bulb moment. When people come to us and want to collab, I want you to already have a plan, because if you want me to come up with it, it's never going to happen.
Yes.
Like there's no way I have time to figure that out. But if you come to me and say, I want to do a contest, I want to give away one of your keys, which is one of our products, if you guys don't know, but I want to give away one of your products. Here's what I want them to do, like, share, blah, 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 whatever it is. You put it on and all I have to do is post it and then give away the product at the end. I'm down. So if you want to go and collab with somebody big, like, think it through and have a plan and give them no reason to say no to you. And I'm thinking, I think we've been talking a little bit smaller scale, but I just got done watching the Jimmy Iovine
I love that
documentary. I was like, where have I been? It came out in 2017. I cannot remember the name of it. It's called the
one with Dr. Dre in it too.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Everybody has to watch that. It is all about collabing. It's so amazing to see how that kind of stuff like comes together, and even just the ideas that came out of it. Like the Dre Beats came out of him, Dr. Dre, he's like, sneaker companies keep coming to me, and I wear one pair of shoes. I wear white Air Force Ones. I don't want to do sneaker collabs, And Jimmy was like, how about speakers? And literally gave him the idea, and then like was there for 5 minutes and gave him the Dre Beats idea. And now they're, but I think, going after a larger collab is, maybe you need to start small, but it could be bigger picture for someone. Like it could really boost your business. Like
it really can. And I would suggest like trying it out on a smaller scale and getting
Don't just go for the big dog right away.
Yeah, exactly. And then, sometimes we just think too small, like we're nothing bashing the coffee shops, but if you're going to collab, why don't you go for, a coffee company?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that sort of thing, and think a little bit bigger, but like you said, have a plan. This is what we'll do. I want to do this, 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 and this. I already have the video ready for this. We just need your logo. Who is going to say no to that? You're giving them free advertising.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So that plan, that's a good downloadable. I should probably work on that.
Really good downloadable.
Which was another kind of a collab thing, because, we try to pull all the information together of stuff that we've gone through. So like we did the photo shoot one, that was a collab with the photographer, a collab with the caterer, a collab with the realtor who we borrowed her listing for the photo shoot. There's like all these little collabs. We probably didn't do the best job of following up after, but our intention wasn't collabs. It was to do a photo shoot. But I think there was probably some stuff in there that we could have done more with. And it doesn't mean that we can't go back. Maybe that's something too, where you had a really good experience with a business 6 months ago and you're like, we should have done this. Well, you still could,
Right.
what does that look like? And what do you want out of it?
I find that most small business owners are just trying to get through the day and handle their business.
Exactly.
So if you're coming to them with a plan and parts of it are already done, I would be overjoyed if somebody came to me and said, "Hey, Renee, we want to promote your da 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 da."
Yep.
And then when we're done with that, we would like it if you shared our stuff.
Yep.
How hard is that? I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. And you get people that will come back to you and be like, can we do that again?
I know.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So no, we're not doing it. Well, maybe we will do it on this podcast. We haven't got that far talking about it yet. But now each time I have a guest on the podcast, part of it is like, what are we promoting for you? What sort of discount can you give the people that are listening? And how can we promote you?
Yeah.
So, it's thinking it through and putting all of the things in place.
Yep.
Ahead of time. If we're doing a podcast, we should be promoting your product or your event or whatever it is.
Totally.
Yeah.
Because that's naturally what and what you're comfortable with, and
right.
And again, getting something out of it. The whole win-win thing is like, you got to make sure. And I think in the climate today, if there's anything that's coming out of this, there's a huge shift in empathy for sure, but also worried about other people. This illness for the first time, like normally if it's flu season or cold season, you're usually worried. The whole sickness thing, like I'm worried about getting somebody else sick. If I have it and I don't know I have it, it's not about me getting sick. I'm worried about getting other people sick. And I think this virus thing is doing that for people. It's making you think about other people.
It is.
If that made any kind of sense.
It does make sense. But it also, I had the light bulb that time. I love when we're together, we both like lights are going off.
Yes.
But, for years, I collaborated with nonprofits. That's how my business was built. And I know that's what kept us in business after the meltdown in 2007.
Yep.
Each time that we would close a loan, we would donate $100 to our client's choice of nonprofits.
That's a collab.
It's a collab. Yeah. And so we would, let's just say Raphael House is one of the local ones that we, worked with for 15 years, donating to them. Yeah. And then when they had events, we would always post their stuff on our social media. We would, of course, host their events, some of them, sponsor them,
Yeah.
So in that regard, maybe we weren't getting back as much as we were giving if we're talking about dollars.
Yeah.
What that did is it set my company up as a leader in how you do business and a socially responsible leader in Oregon.
Yep.
So, we got a lot more of it from that than them just sharing our Facebook post.
Yeah, for sure.
While we were helping thousands and thousands of people too,
There's that.
There's that.
And that's a great point, because a lot of times you do stuff and that it's not going to have an immediate result, but that whether it's for the greater good or if it's actually a business decision that you're making, it's like, okay, this is going to take a while. If anybody knows that, it's realtors, because it takes a long time, even just for closing, or, somebody starting the process, they could not find a house for, 4 months. So it's kind of the story of their lives. They get that. But I think what that also causes them to do is be a little more impatient with other things.
Yeah.
So because their whole life is in 30 and 45 day increments, they're like, okay, well, I need some stuff to happen now. So, but I think nurturing some of those things and looking at bigger picture stuff and down the road, most people, you should be in business because you plan on staying in business.
Right.
Right. So there's so much that isn't going to, you're not going to see the results now, but you are going to later. But also too, and you're pretty good at tracking stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at that.
You have any advice on how to, because that's where I'm bad at, where I'm like, oh, we'll try it. And then we're like, did it work? We're like, oh, I don't know.
Well, that's probably why I like the plan ahead of time, So we're going to let's just say when you're doing drop buys or drop offs. What do you call them? Drop buys?
Drop buys.
Drop by, pop, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's just say that you decide you're going to do 500 of them. I know that's a lot, but over a month, you could do it. The person you're collaborating with does 250, you do 250. And so then you can keep track easily of like when you ask, and you should always be, how did you hear about us? Where did you hear about me from? Because you should always be tracking where it's from to see what's working and what's not working. Right. If you're working with somebody and you love them and they're fabulous, but you never get one lead year after year after year from them, I'm sorry, take them out to dinner and enjoy them as a friend, but this isn't a beneficial collab for you.
Right. Yeah. And that I had another light bulb moment is that also too, people probably tell you all the time, like, oh my gosh, I saw you on or in just conversation, but do I ever write that down? No. Do I ever keep track of what product they're talking about? No.
I pay attention to everything.
Yeah.
Like, I saw your podcast and I always ask, well, which one? Right. The one next about whatever, Yeah. So I'm always have this little ticker in my head. Okay, that was a really good podcast. One of my biggest podcasts was on astrology for 2020.
Yep.
And who would have thought that would have been the one that it was? But now I have Kara come back because it was so popular. She came back to talk about coronavirus.
I listened to that one and actually hired her.
See?
Probably, I think I did tell you that, but that's
good. You did.
That's another good point is letting the people know where the source came from, because you might I might have told Kara, and if you and I didn't have the relationship that we had, I probably would have never told you.
Right.
Kara might have or whatever, but that's another connection that you can make with people. Because I think also too, when you talked about small businesses are really just trying to keep their business, above water in the day-to-day, that they don't think that far ahead. And I think that, again, that comes back to that long-term, you want to be a long-term business. And those are the kinds of things that are going to keep you long-term and keep you in business and sets you apart from the ones that probably shouldn't be in business. I mean, every genre of business has those people that
they do
probably shouldn't be doing what they're doing. So
the interesting thing about Kara then, the astrologer, is she's gotten so many leads from doing my podcast that she'll come back anytime. So it's win-win. And not only that, she started her own podcast then because of all the business that she got, which is fabulous, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's so cool how you help them, they help you. Hopefully, I will have her back on my podcast soon to talk about election stuff.
Oh,
I know, because it's a whole
dicey.
Yeah. And then she gets more business. I get more listens. She mentions it on her podcast. Those people listen. It's just great.
It sounds like there's probably a collab there that you haven't tapped into yet. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure there's something there. You guys
there's probably more to it. Yeah.
You can do a promo together.
Definitely.
A twofer or something.
And so this is how it starts. Oh, I'll just have you on my podcast. Oh, I got a few leads. Then you start thinking, what are the other ways?
Yeah.
What else could we do?
Yeah. The ones that are working, those are the ones you really want to keep tapping into. Exhaust it.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. And I kind of am thinking about my friend Gretchen and Romerica, who is an awesome company. Gretchen was my business partner for the beginning of all things real estate. She's still a good friend of mine. She needed help with marketing. I sent you her way, but also too, she is the queen of collab. So they have, go check them out, Romerica. They have a camper van company that is so cool. But how she started her company was she loaned out the vans for free to photographers. And the pictures that she has, she could start a photography picture selling company because the pictures are beautiful. And that was collabs for days. She did a collab with Jacobs and Salt Company. So she outfitted the vans with salt, all kinds of fun stuff.
All of them. The whole vans are outfitted with collab stuff that she
it's all collab.
Yeah.
From the littlest thing to the biggest thing.
To the biggest thing. And now the biggest thing that they had a recording 2 months ago, they had Vice and MailChimp come to their company to record the way they do business and about them.
Yep.
Talk about starting off with, salt and ending up on Vice and MailChimp promoting your business.
Right.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Again, it comes back to that coming back around, and when you do stuff like that, like you just don't know where it's going to lead you, you know?
Yeah.
I think part of my problem is I do too many of that stuff, and I have to decipher which ones are worth going after and which ones are, because we want to, we're pleasers and we want everybody to be happy. And so I say yes to everything. My staff keep stuff away from me. They're like, she's going to say yes. Like,
that's funny.
But they know, they know the good stuff, and they know how I am, and they know my personality and how I operate, which is the company is, it's me, I'm the heartbeat. So they have figured that out where they know that they're like, okay, this would be a great collab, but they also know they better come to me with a plan, because if they want me to do anything with it, it's not going to happen.
Yep. I know that.
Right. And that, and also too, and who you're collabing with and who you're talking to, if you are trying to go after somebody big, then, really make sure you're keeping track of who you're talking to, because at some point somebody might say, well, who did you talk to? And if they say, well, Sarah in, wherever, and they're like, oh, okay, then,
yeah, you're good then.
You've been vetted or whatever.
Exactly.
And so keep track of that kind of stuff too. And I like the idea of going after some big collaborators, and we've tried a few things. And one thing, I can't believe I didn't talk about this. Collab was kind of our 2020 thing that we wanted to do. And we've been doing it, but willy-nilly. And I narrowed it down. I was like, okay, these are the people that we're going to do collabs with. They were all customers of ours, and they're all realtors doing other businesses and entrepreneurs and all this other stuff. And I still need to, well, then this happened and it kind of threw us off the rail a little bit, but we're coming back. So we're looking more at the collab stuff now that we have time to breathe and look at that. So we were working now on collabing with actually being the manufacturer of the products that these realtors want to produce. And as a realtor, they don't want to start an online store. Like, they want to sell real estate, and but they also are entrepreneurs and they can't help themselves. And they're like, I have this idea and I want to do this. And so our win-win is that we get to produce their products and they get to send people to us to buy it. So they don't have to do anything but market it, which is what they're good at. And then we produce it, ship it, all that. And then, so that's where a win-win, where sometimes you're like, well, what could I collab with a customer on, or like if it might not seem like a logical thing, but it might be.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think a lot of times it isn't a logical thing.
True.
I think it's more like Romerica with camper vans and salt.
Right.
How would you ever put those two together? But it worked out fabulous for both of them.
Yeah. Because there's kitchens in the van. It's like,
imagine that.
I would have never known that. I was like, what? I was like, how did you get Jacobs and Salt? Because they're local, but they're big. Yeah. I was like, how did you do that? And she was like, I just called them up. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Call them up and you asked them. And I think that is what stops most people, is they're going to say no. Why would they ever want to work with me? Once again, if you come in with a plan, you've thought it through, this is what I want to do. I think you guys are a good match. I like your company because we stand for the same values, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
You're selling. We're salespeople. Sell it.
Exactly. You're right. We get in our own way all the time.
Yes. Yeah. And let's just say you reach out to 5, and I think the goal for this podcast is for people to reach out to bigger companies than they normally would.
Yep.
But if you reach out to 5 of them, and 4 of them say no, you still have one of those big companies that says yes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to bet you that I probably think 4 of them are going to say yes.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. And it's endless. Like, I'm just looking out the window and I see hotels, and especially right now, like, what businesses are going to need a boost in the comeback? We did talk about restaurants and things like that, but what are other places? What if you collabed with a hotel as a realtor and you gave away a staycation or something like that? I mean, check the rules in your local state. I don't know what, I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but it's not like you're paying for it. So I think that's okay. I don't know if there's a dollar amount, or I think that would be a fun, just anything that I have realtors that do giveaways every single month, and it's consistent, and has been doing it for 5 years, and gets thousands of people watching her live for a $50 gift card to Home Depot or something. I don't know.
Fabulous. What a great idea.
She's consistent, and she does it and she does local stuff, and sometimes it's a big thing, sometimes it's not, but people like to win.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are like, I never win anything. I got a $10 gift card. I'm so excited.
And we forget that this is how big businesses do business.
Yeah.
Everything is a collab.
Yep.
Everything.
Yep.
So it may seem like we're inventing this and it's new. No, not at all.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I think that's awesome. So, well, I can't think of anything else on collabs.
I can't either. I think we exhausted it. I think we exhausted it, Tracey.
How did we run out? I'm sure if I thought about it more, then I could, but.
Well, thank you so much for being on my podcast.
And thank you so much for being on our podcast. And collabing with us.
And collabing. This was too much fun. We have to do it again.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that the next time we collab, we need to tell each other who we collabed with.
I love it. Yep. I love it. That's perfect.
Then we'll have another podcast and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we will. Collab too.
Follow up.
Yes, exactly.
All right, Renee.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.
For having us.